I know that everything I do before the presentation, at the appointment, after the appointment, all of that is to create an environment of trust so I get the right information to work with. All right, guys, welcome back. This is the third episode of February. If you're wanting to know how to close more deals on a listing presentation, what to do before, what to do at the presentation, what to do after, this is the video for you. We're gonna break it all down. I built a packet on this. There's an older version a lot of you probably have from last year. This is the new one. Make sure you look for the keyword that I'm gonna give out so that you can have this while we're going through this entire presentation. Most brokerages, most mentors that you have, they're not gonna train you on how to do a listing presentation, the psychology behind why we do certain things, why I say that, why I do that. It's just not taught. And that's why I built this. And that's why we're doing this video, so you can walk through that. But before we jump into this, make sure you go back. I'm gonna keep saying this, make sure you go back. February is all about putting more money in your pocket by knowing the skills you need, how to prospect, the different prospecting methods that work, and then closing more deals with sellers, and then obviously closing more on the buyer side. So go back and watch the first video we released in February. That one talked all about the different skills that you need to go acquire. If you don't have those skills, you won't be able to do this. So you gotta go back and watch that. Last week we talked about the different prospecting methods that actually work, that'll put you in front of the right people to go close more deals. Well, now you're in front of them. Now you prospected, you found them, you found the needle in the haystack. Now you have the appointment. Now what do you do? So everything works together here in February to put more money in your pocket. This is gonna be a great video, great breakdown. To be honest, I don't know if many brokerages or mentors or coaching programs, I don't think they have a video like this. So this will be really cool to break down because I work with so many of you all over Canada, all over the US, all over the world, and you're always asking, what does the process look like? And then what are the questions we need to ask, the scripts, the psychology behind certain things. That's the biggest thing I learned in the door-to-door space is I came into real estate and I learned, oh, okay, in door-to-door, in the alarm world, the presentation, the walkthrough on the house was very intentional. There was psychology behind each thing that we did. And in real estate, that wasn't being taught. The scripts are being taught, but the psychology behind it hasn't really been explained. So hopefully this video does that today. If you guys have any questions, let me know. There's 2 packets that I'm giving out today. I'm gonna give out this one, which arguably we should probably charge for, but I wanna give it out to you guys so that you have this. And then we're gonna give out another one. So make sure you watch for the keywords. That way you can take these home, print it off, take it apart, and take a ton of notes. Let's go. All right, guys, here we go. So you're definitely going to want to grab a notepad, grab a pen, because I'm gonna go very detailed into what to do before the listing process, what to do on the listing process, and then the different scripts to use, why we say them, why it works. And so on your notepad, make sure you have the before the listing appointment, the at the listing appointment, and at the bottom, after the listing appointment, because there's different things that you're gonna do throughout the entire process. All right, so if you want this packet, and you want to be able to print it off and take a ton of notes, I want to go ahead and in the comments, write stick figure. We're not going to do listing presentation. If you comment listing presentation, I'm not sending this to you. It's got to be stick figure. This is what we're trying to write. That way I'll get this entire packet to you. So write down stick figure, and I want you to write next to stick figure what you learned from this video. So put the word stick figure, something you learned. I'll respond to you. I'll shoot you a text, and then I'll get you this packet. All right, so the biggest issue that I'm seeing with realtors is it's a misunderstanding of what the listing presentation is about. Most realtors, most brokerages, most teams that you're on, they're gonna train that when you show up, it's a presentation. This is what they're training on. That it's a listing presentation, okay? Which means that you have a packet of 50 different pages of graphs and modules about your brokerage and all this stuff, and you're literally just gonna read it page by page. That is not how sales work. That is not gonna help you convert and close a lot of people. You're gonna go on a lot of appointments. You're not gonna walk away with contracts, so you can't do that. So you have to have a different paradigm. You gotta have a different way to look at the listing presentation, and when you do, it'll help you close more people. One of the greatest books on this, last year we read this in our book club, which if you're not in our book club, it's free. You can join from wherever, there's no cost, but comment book club and we'll get that pamphlet out to you so you know what books we're reading. But there's a great book called Leaders Eat Last. It's right here, Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. And he talks about leadership and the role of leaders inside of an environment and what they're trying to accomplish. So if I look at this from like a sales leadership psychology perspective, then what is the ultimate goal of the listing presentation? It's right here, okay? Let me zoom in. This is literally the reason and the main part of a listing presentation. The systems inside us that protect us from danger and encourage us to repeat behavior is our best interest respond to the environments in which we live and work. If we sense danger, our defense goes up. So your clients, when you come to the house, if they feel any type of sales resistance, any type of pressure, their walls go up and they don't want to divulge or tell you the information that you need to help them make the right decision. Let's keep going. If we feel safe among our people in our own tribes or organizations, we relax and we're more open to trust and cooperate. So, what's the point of listing presentation? Your job as a presenter is to calm them down and right here, help them feel safe. You want to bring down those barriers. You want the environment to be controlled so that they trust you, okay? When we relax, we're more open to trust and cooperate. So if the family you're with, they're not cooperating, they're not answering your questions or telling you their pain points, it's probably because you haven't built enough trust or rapport. So I'm going to watch for that and then pull back and then build that environment. Then it says, when we believe that those inside our group, those inside the circle, will look out for us, it creates an environment for the free exchange of information and effective communication, okay? So let's highlight this. You should write this down in your notes. I'm going to have my team put it in big letters here on the screen, but write this down in your notes. It creates an environment for the free exchange of information and effective communication. So, what is the main purpose of a listing presentation? Right there. It's to create an environment of safety and trust so that sellers will open up to you, cooperate, and exchange the information that you need. So I know that everything I do before the presentation, before the appointment, at the appointment, after the appointment, all of that is to create an environment of trust so I get the right information to work with. A lot of you guys aren't getting that. You go into the presentation, you vomit all over them, you go right into your scripts, and you're not listening. You're not building rapport. And so they don't exchange that information with you, and you leave without a contract and you're wondering, why? What happened? That's your issue right there, okay? So a lot of realtors need to fix that. So some really good books on this to go learn some good people skills. Maximum Influence by Kurt Mortensen. He was a teacher of mine at BYU when I went through a public speaking course. His books are incredible. Obviously, Dale Carnegie's book. So if you guys go get How to Win Friends and Influence People, an incredible book to learn how to create that environment. Another one's going to be The Code of Trust. If you guys haven't read this one, this is literally like a Bible to sell skills and how to create trust fast. There's another book called The Speed of Trust. So all these books, they'll help you learn how to create that environment of trust so you can close more deals, okay? So that's just the paradigm. That's just the idea of the process. Once you shift it from, oh, this isn't a presentation, it's not a scripted experience, it's no, I'm here to create trust. Your whole, how you approach the entire thing will change and you'll close more deals. Now let's go to the overall process. The biggest issue with a lot of those that call me off YouTube or Instagram or that I coach with is they don't have a general overall process to follow. You can give better customer service to your clients if it's all systematized. You have a seller, you put them through the process checklist, you go to the listing presentation and do the same thing after. If you can get that systematized, that oriented, then it'll allow you to close more deals. Because what happens is if you're relying too much on your brain, then your brain's going to be tired. It doesn't have the nutrition it needs. It's distracted. And so now your process is all over the place. Systematize this. Print this out and have a checklist of things that you need to do. The biggest thing with salespeople is step one is you've got to pre-qualify them. You've got to pre-qualify all your prospects. Don't go on what are called previews. Don't go on previews. Pre-qualify everyone. If they're not a motivated 8, 9, 10, do not go on that appointment. If they're a couple months out, just say, hey, John and Sally, I totally get that you want me to come by and talk about the value of your home. It sounds like you're 3 or 4 months out. I might be wrong, but what are your thoughts on possibly meeting in 2 or 3 months when it's closer? That way we're not wasting each other's time. Boom. Then I'm going to go back in 3 or 4 months when they're actually ready. So that's the first step, right? Pre-qualify all your people, okay? Step 2 is going to be to drop off the pre-listing packet, okay? I'm going to have my cover letter, references, a detailed layout. I'm going to have CMAs if they're analytical, a comparative net sheet, and then the contract. So a lot of people are going to be like, holy moly, like you're going to give them everything? What if they read it all and they don't like you and they tell you not to come back? Guys, again, sales is a process of eliminating objections. The top tier salespeople in any industry are good at objection prevention. They don't really handle any objections. On a lot of my listing appointments, I don't get a lot of objections. Why? Because I'm giving them everything. I want them to see how much the commission is. I want them to read the contract. I want them to know what I'm going to do to market their home. So when I'm at the appointment, my only job is to create an environment of safety and trust. It's not to do anything else. And so by simply dropping off this packet right here, it allows me to do that. It allows me to go create that environment and not have to worry about that. Okay? Step 3, call and confirm. Show up ready. Show up 10, 15 minutes before. Have a ritual. Visualize it going really well. Visualize yourself closing the deal. Maybe have a music or playlist you listen to, and make sure you show up on time. Follow the process, which we're going to talk about. And then at the end, send crumble cookie and a thank you card. I have a good friend that's a realtor. He crushes it in Utah, and he taught me this a couple of years back. I've implemented it, and all of our coaching clients do it. This is kind of like when you were dating and you sent the, hey, I had such a great time text. This is the same thing, but for realtors. This will always be the icing on the cake. 2-3 hours after your appointment, send crumble cookie. They'll let you type out a custom card, and then it just works because it separates you from everybody else. They forget how the experience was for an hour or two, and then they get those cookies at the end, and they're like, oh, what a great realtor. Like, that was great. Let's sign with him. And so that's what that does right there, okay? So you got to have a process. Every time you get a person that's going to sell their home, throw them in the process and follow it every single time. It allows you to calm down and not be so anxious, to not worry about what you need to do. All right, so the next part. So here's the listing process, the psychology broken down. You have to look at this from a presentation standpoint. For example, if you're worried about presenting and it's not your forte and you just don't have the at-bats for this, go get this book, How to Present. It's basically, again, like a manual on presentation. And essentially that's what you're doing at the listing presentation is you're giving a mini TED Talk. You're presenting in front of a crowd of 2 people, maybe 1 person. Go get this if you don't feel super comfortable. But this is literally how I train realtors. You have to look at the listing process in chunks. You've got the arrival and prep. So there's different things you do there. You've got what we call the movie preview, the main walkthrough, and closing the deal. So what it does is it allows you to not be so anxious about what's happening. You break it up into chunks, and each chunk has certain things you're doing, and you're just moving from one section to the next with your clients. It makes it very easy to go through. So let's go through the process. So the arrival and prep. The arrival and prep section. So you're going to show up, and you're going to go see the home from a buyer's perspective. You're going to meet in the living room. You're going to point out 3 things that are unique about their house to build rapport on. While in the living room, you're going to ask about certain parts to highlight, and then you're going to transition to the table and ask for a glass of water. Let me show you what this looks like. Knock, knock, knock. Hey, John, how's it going? High five. Why am I giving a high five? Because when two people physically touch, it creates a deeper bond on a molecular level that creates that relationship, right? Like right out of the gate, that's what I'm creating. And then I'll go right back to it. Cool, high five. Hey, do you want me to take my shoes off? And immediately I'm gonna look down, because I don't wanna be looking in their eyes and they kick me out of their house because they're like, oh, we thought about it, we don't want to. I'm gonna transition into the home. Cool, do you want me to take my shoes off? And I'll start wiping my feet. And they're like, oh yeah, take them off. Then I'm gonna add a joke. Okay, cool, I'm glad I didn't wear my Pokemon socks today. Ha ha ha. That joke works every time. Or say, oh, I'm glad I didn't wear the socks that have the holes in the bottom. Ha ha ha, it works every time. I go into the house and look at the rapport that I'm already building with the high five and the joke. Then I'm gonna simply say, cool, well, let me go look at your house from a buyer's perspective. So when we do go list the home, I'll understand how to best negotiate and sell your home to all the calls that we get. And then we'll meet in the living room. And then I'll leave. So I'm not asking them a question right there. I'm not doing anything else. It's very, very focused on the psychology and the transitioning, okay? That joke, that high five builds enough rapport, and then I go look at the house without them so I can be efficient, and I'm looking for three things. So I'll come back to the living room and I'll simply say, hey, I love the gazebo in the backyard. Was that you guys that built that? So look at my face. Look how I'm asking this. Look how I'm leaning in to build the rapport. Oh yeah, we love that gazebo, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Is there any other part of the house that you think that after we list your home, see how many times I've said this? I've said it 3 times now. After we've listed, after we've listed. Those are subconscious messages that I'm sending to my clients throughout the process so that when we sit at the table, I'm not getting all these objections. I'm preventing them. Your whole process right here is to prevent this. Is there any other part of your home that you want me to tell buyers about when we're getting all the calls after we list your home that the MLS might not show? Oh yeah, we've got this memory back here and this memory over here. And the reason this question works really well is because when people are thinking about happy memories, it puts them in the right headspace to then go at the table and talk about something that's a little serious. It's a lot of money they're about to pay you to sell their home. And so it puts them in the right headspace to build the rapport and create the environment to then move on. And then the last part, when I say, hey, cool, let's go finish this out on the table, or hey, let's go talk about this on the table. Hey, do you mind if I ask you a favor real quick? Can you give me a glass of water? Now, why is that so important in the first part? Because when we're in the service of our fellow man, 1, we're in the service of God, and 2, when we serve each other, that relationship bond enhances. It gets bigger. And so again, that's a little part right there that I'm going to add that's going to build that relationship. All right, let's move on. So that's the first part, is the arrival. You got to practice that over and over again. And if you're not practicing that, we have a role play group. It's $200 a month. Realtors from all over the world are in there. And every Friday we practice this. So if you want to be in that group, comment role play and we'll add you into the group so you can practice this with other skilled realtors that are really good at this. All right, the second part is now we're going to go to the movie preview. Why is this called the movie preview? Well, think about movies. Think about the previews that they design. They spend millions, tens of millions of dollars on a preview just to excite you to get into the theater. So the listing presentation is the same. There's got to be some, in teaching and presenting, it's called how to begin teaching. It's the first initial part of your presentation. There's certain things that you're collecting pieces to the puzzle. You're getting information here, information from here, information from here, so you know how to present. So a lot of things I'm going to do is I'm going to play devil's advocate with them. Now, hey, Jim and Sally, this is a beautiful home. Before we get started, just playing devil's advocate with you, why is it that you guys are wanting to move in the first place? So what it does is now I'm going to pull out their motivation and I'm going to drive that home right into them right out of the gate. Then I'm going to ask them this question. Now, John and Sally, I keep forgetting their names. We'll call them John and Sally. Now, John and Sally, let's say we sell this home and everything goes really well. You buy the next home and that went really well. When you're in the backyard having a barbecue with your friends in the new neighborhood and they say, hey, that went really smooth. Usually it doesn't go that well. What happened in that transaction that made it go that smooth? And so what they're going to do right there at that question is they're going to tell me what value props to now use in my presentation to sell them on. And this is where the beginner realtors, the beginner salespeople, they miss. and they go through their whole stack, their whole presentation, and they don't close a lot of people. This part right here, they're going to tell you, oh, well, effectiveness, or oh, you communicated well, or oh, you did a lot of open houses and that got a lot of buyers in. They're going to literally tell me how to sell them. And then this question, the reason it works really well is, again, I'm putting them in an end mindset, a goal-oriented mindset, a happier state for them to then tell me how to sell them. All these questions, that how we say them, the tonality we use, it plays a certain role to then pull out the right information because you've created this environment of trust and now you know how to maneuver. Okay, and then the last one is I'm going to say, John, Sally, cool. So what we'll do in the next 10, 15 minutes is we'll go through that packet that I left. We'll talk about how we're going to put a lot of money in your pocket. I'm going to answer XYZ, the value props that you just told me are important to you. And then if we're a good fit, I've got the forms for you to approve, not to sign, use the right verbiage, and we can go ahead and list your home. And if it doesn't make sense, then I'm okay. We'll shake hands, we'll high five each other the next time we see one another in the grocery store. Sound fair enough? So that question right there brings down the pressure. They know that they can say no, and that allows them to be more at ease. So now we can maneuver forward, okay? This whole part right here is called the movie preview. All right, let's move to the third part. So now you got the main walkthrough, okay? The biggest issue right here is you didn't pull the pain points in the previous section, and now you're just spitballing. If they told me that efficiency is their main concern, I'm not going to start with social media or door knocking. I'm going to talk about our Thursday calls. And if you don't understand how to value prop, I just did a video on this in January about how to value prop and how to understand your clients and sell them on how they want to be sold. So make sure you go back and watch that video. And then I also have a packet on that for value prop. So comment value prop and what you're learning, and I'll go ahead and get that over to you for free. But you've got to get really good at knowing what value props they want you to talk about. And then if they're analytical or drivers and are information driven, then I'm going to have comps. A lot of times I don't ever give comps because they're amiable or expressive, or I left them in the packet and they've got no questions. So a lot of times we don't even need to go through comps. And then I'm going to ask them if they have any questions from the packet they read, and I'm going to go right at it. Remember, the biggest thing in sales is people will pay more when they see value. A great book on this is Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. He talks, I don't know if I have that. I don't have that with me. But Grant Cardone's book, he talks about water. When you go to the gas station, how much is a bottle of water? $4 or $5. Or it's free at your house. So it's convenient. There's value, so you pay more. Same thing with Starbucks. You know how much it costs to make coffee at home? Like 20 cents. But why do people spend $5 or $6, $7, $8 at Starbucks? It's convenience. It's value. So if you can increase your value during this presentation, then they will, one, pay you a high commission, a 3.5% commission rate, and there won't be that many objections because you're overcoming them because you pulled out the value props. Okay, so that's the main walkthrough, okay? You're going to go through question-based selling, asking them about the things that are important. You're then going to go through comps, and then you're going to get to the last part, which is closing the deal. Okay? The last part, close the deal. This should be an easy part right here. If you did everything else right, then right here, when you go to close the deal, you're not going to get any objections. You shouldn't get objections right here. You shouldn't get price. You shouldn't get commission. You shouldn't get, we have another realtor. You shouldn't get, we're just going to hold off for a couple months. If you pre-qualified them, if you sold to their personality, you got their pain points, you properly went through the whole process, then now it's a pretty easy transition. And that's the key word right here, is you have to get good at transitioning. Nope, that's not how you spell it. Who cares? This is why I go door to door for a living. I'm not an expert at spelling. But transitioning, okay? So I'm going to ask for the key. Okay, great. Did everything we talked about today sound like it's going to put the most amount of money in your pocket and it's going to accomplish XYZ value prop that you said was important to me? Yeah, no, sounds great. Cool. The next step is really simple. I'm going to use verbiage like this to help them understand the next process is not complicated. The next part's really simple. That was actually the hardest part. What you're going to do is you're going to go grab your key, and then I'm going to shoot you a form to look at, not an agreement to sign or a contract to sign. I'm going to send you a form real quick to look at. Do you use Gmail or Yahoo? Now I'm going to option close them. One spouse is going to get up and go get the key. They're moving. Great. Now what email? Oh yeah, we use Yahoo. Cool. What's the email real quick? They're going to give me the email. I'm going to have my TC, my transaction coordinator, available. I'm going to send her the information. She's already got the forms ready. They're going to email to them, and it's easier to DocuSign than have hard copy contracts to sign. So the DocuSign is going to come out. They're going to approve that form. I'm not even going to tell you they're going to sign it. They're going to approve it, and then you're going to say, great. Now we're going to schedule the photographer. Let me put you in a group text with my transaction coordinator. When would work? Tomorrow, the next day, or earlier next week? I'm going to option close them. They choose next week. Great. Are there any other questions that you have for me? We're basically done, and there's really nothing else to do. And then they're going to tell you if they have any questions, and you move on. And that's it. That's that last part of the entire process. And now you close the deal. This packet will have some of those scripts that we went through. And if you missed it at the beginning, make sure you comment stick figure. This packet's $100. We'll get it out to you. That way you can go through this entire thing. And then the last part is really just understanding objections, preventing them, realizing that objections are good. Most realtors think that objections are so bad, but if you're good at presenting, communicating, then you're not going to actually get many of those. And then that's it. That's really the process. These are some of the best books I'd recommend to go read. So if you get this packet, you can go through this, and you can go through all these different books on presenting, building trust, creating an environment of respect and love. Because again, remember, the whole process to this book is to build, if we go all the way back to the beginning, the whole process of this is right here. The whole idea behind this entire approach is to create an environment of safety and trust so that the sellers open up. And there's a free-flowing exchange of information. And so you can help that person do what they want to because it's their idea, because you did a good job at communicating, being prepared, selling how they want to be sold, and then helping them make a financially educated decision. Okay, so that was probably a lot. Go back and walk through that. Hopefully this was super beneficial. Again, a lot of companies, a lot of brokerages aren't going to walk you through this. I'm hoping that this was super valuable so that you are comfortable and confident and prepared to go and close a lot of deals this year. All right, did you take a bunch of notes? Was this helpful? Remember, January was about building momentum. This month is all about skill set, then knowing how to prospect and which methods are going to give you a return. Once you prospect, once you're in front of people that are highly motivated and ready for you to come over and list their house, you got to know how to do that. You got to know the process. You got to know the scripts, the psychology behind everything. Go back and watch that. I really hope that this was a lot of value. And to me, I'm even asking myself, I should probably charge for that. That should probably be a course. But the biggest issue with real estate is that there's not enough training without forcing people to join a group. I want you guys to have the training, go close a couple deals, and then if it makes sense, come join our community. We have realtors that are selling at insane volumes right now. 30, 40, 50, 100, 80, 200 deals. We've got realtors from part-time going full-time. We've got realtors that just got their license that are closing 50 plus deals, 30 plus deals. It works. So go use this. Go get a couple deals on your own. Learn to close, learn to present, and then if it's the right fit, let's work together. If you guys have any other questions, reach out to me at 702-525-5766. Go follow me on Instagram. Would love to connect and see if I can provide value to your business. If I can, great. If not, we'll see you on the next episode.